Hey everybody, Super Nova here. So as we know, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is getting a total of 48 remade tracks by the end of 2023. So as of now, there are a total of 6 city tracks, those being Paris, Tokyo, New York, Sydney, London, and Berlin. As of now, there are a total of 5 remaining city tracks that have yet to be ported over to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Today, I'm going to be predicting on how I think they will work in the Booster Course Pass. I'm Super Nova, and these are my predictions on how I think the remaining 5 city tracks will work in the Booster Course Pass. So without further ado, let's get predicting. Up first is Vancouver Velocity. So as you can see here, I've roughly managed to map out each variant of Vancouver Velocity, with Vancouver Velocity 1 being in blue, Vancouver Velocity 2 in green, and Vancouver Velocity 3 in pink. Before we continue, let's also map out the starting line, which is located right here. One more thing before I get into the prediction is this. So Vancouver Velocity 1 and 3 have players driving towards the left of the starting line, whereas Vancouver Velocity 2 is driven in the opposite direction. So it might be a little bit hard to map out how this will work in the Booster Course Pass. Now then, let's get into my prediction. So I believe lap 1 will be Vancouver Velocity 3, personally because that track didn't stand out as much to me, and it just feels like definitely a lap 1. Even though it includes the stadium section, I just believe that'll be lap 1. Now again, this is just my personal opinion, so somebody else might disagree with me, but hey. So now for lap 2, we could work around something and do Vancouver Velocity 2 the correct way. However, I'm just going to do it with Vancouver Velocity 2 being backwards. So players will drive along the pier section, through the forest, and then get launched through a special cannon only featured in Mario Kart Tour, hopefully it comes to the Booster Course Pass, into the stadium section, and then back around to the finish line. And the final lap will be Vancouver Velocity 1, and I have 2 reasons as to why. So, reason 1 is a complete change of scenery. Rather than having a complete sitting section, is now a forest section, and 2, because there's a small shortcut at the end, and it would definitely make for a great finish for the end. And that is my prediction for Vancouver Velocity. Let's go to track number 2. For the next track we got is Los Angeles Laps. Once again, I've managed to roughly map out each variant, with LA Laps 1 being in blue, LA Laps 2 in green, and LA Laps 3 in pink. Now, before we get into the prediction, I would like to mention something. LA Laps is probably the hardest one to map out and how it will work in the Booster Course Pass. Here's why. Variant 1 has you starting here, Variant 2 has you starting here, and Variant 3 has players starting here. So it's a little difficult to tell how it will work in the Booster Course Pass. Now personally, I believe this track will be split to a section-based track. So let's get into the prediction. So Section 1 will be LA Laps 3. Section 2 will be LA Laps 2, however LA Laps 2 will be done in reverse. So players will start the second section by turning left right after finishing Section 1, driving through the oil fields, and coming back around to begin lap 3. So lap 3 will start on the pier section, so players will have to take a quick left, driving along the pier to begin lap 3, where LA Laps 1 would normally start, along the beach, and coming back around to finish where you started the race at Section 1, which would be LA Laps 3. Now once again, I put LA Laps 1 at the end because it is a complete change of scenery, having a whole beach section, and also because it was data mined to be the last track of Wave 4, and I definitely think the beach section is a beautiful transition into Wave 5, which would likely come out in the summer. So that's my prediction for Los Angeles Laps. Let's move on to track number 3. For the next track, we have Singapore Speedway. Once again, I roughly mapped out where each variant is, 1 in blue, 2 in green, and 3 in pink. Now we've got ourselves another Vancouver Velocity situation here, where 2 variants go one way and the other one starts the other way. That one being Singapore Speedway 3. Now, for me, Singapore Speedway was quite simple the way I did it. A lot of people might think, wow, that's so boring, Koopa. You're so original. Good job. But anyways, let's get into the prediction. So players will be starting right here where roughly the finish line is, and going on to Singapore Speedway 1, which is the blue route. And then players come back around to begin lap 2, which will be Singapore Speedway 2, and then lap 3 will just be Singapore Speedway 3. You're probably thinking, Koopa, it's so boring. What are you so boring for? Stop making this one boring. This is a pretty chill track. I'm like, I agree, but like, personally, I just believe that's how it'll turn out because it's probably the easiest way and that this one could be done. Alright, let's move on to track number 4. For our next track, we have Amsterdam Drift. So let's map out each variant. 1 is blue, 2 is green, and 3 is pink. Also, let's map out the starting line, located roughly about in that portion right there. Now then, let's get into my prediction. So I believe lap 1 will be Amsterdam Drift 1. Now, since Amsterdam Drift 2 and 3 have players driving the opposite direction, we could just do them backwards. However, I see a potential to do each variant in the correct form. So instead of turning right after the finish line, players will then turn left, go down the same route as Amsterdam Drift 1, and hop into the water to go along the green route, which is Amsterdam Drift 2, doing it the correct way. Amsterdam Drift 3 will begin in the same spot as both variants and be done the correct way as well. And then that is my prediction for Amsterdam Drift. Now then, let's go into the very last track. So the last known city track that is likely to come to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is Bangkok Rush. So let's map out each variant. Lap 1, variant 1 is green, blue, variant 2 is green, and variant 3 is pink. Now then, let's see where the starting line is located. Roughly about in this portion right here. So, to begin the prediction, I believe Bangkok Rush 1 will be lap 1 as usual, as most city tracks go as so far. Bangkok Rush 2 will be lap 2. And now here's where we get a slight problem because we got another Vancouver Velocity situation where 2 go one way and 1 goes the other way. And the opposite direction one is Bangkok Rush 3. Yippee. So for this one, I believe it'll be done in this way. For the last lap, players will be going down the route of Bangkok Rush 2. However, at the first bit path, we'll end up going down the pink route rather than the green route, which is in Bangkok Rush 3. Players will then go about halfway down backwards in Bangkok Rush 1, take a quick right turn, heading towards the Democracy Monument, going around that, and then doing the rest of Bangkok Rush 3 the normal way, and then players will be going down the Bangkok Rush 2 route. However, instead of taking the turn into the parking garage, players will take the turn over the gliding ramp, once again passing the Democracy Monument, and then doing the river section of Bangkok Rush 1 backwards, and coming back to the finish line. So that's my prediction for Bangkok Rush. Anyway, those are my predictions for how I believe the rest of the courses will work in the Booster Course Pass. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Do you agree with what I think, or do you have a different way of how you think the city tracks will pan out in the Booster Course Pass? Anyway, if you did enjoy, give this video a thumbs up, turn the notifications so you never miss a video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye!